Hello. Is anybody here? Am I the only one? Oh, there's three watching now. Hey, let me turn off my. Okay, now we're talking. Forgive the voice. I see Mike J. Behold, you're back. I wasn't sure how many's going to show up. Love y'all coming in. It's great. Welcome to my cave. So, who's all here? Hey, Ralph. How you doing, guy? Hope you're well. I'm kind of casual tonight. Gonna break this Friday night in. We're down up to 2. 6. Oh my gosh. Well, hello, 6 people. Rockingham, the house. Hey, yeah. I'm gonna try to put different pictures of caves each time. See if I can get it to work. I think I'm gonna start off with a story once we get a good crowd coming in. I hope. We did pretty good last time. I was kind of shocked. We see how we do at midnight. Gemma's in bed. And thank you, Gemma, for allowing me to do this. So, how's everybody doing? How you doing, Mike and Ralph? Yeah, I think we're gonna start off with some stories. Got a couple good ones I want to tell. I hope they're good ones for you guys. And then we'll go from there and see how the night goes. Just like last time, go with the flow. But we'll get maybe later on talk on one of my favorite subjects, giants. Yeah, I hope everybody's doing well tonight. We're going to keep it kind of simple since the crowd's not quite here yet. If we can get it up more than 5, I'd be happy. But we're going to rock this tonight as much as we can. Kind of get into the swing of the Friday night thing. Like how one mic disappears. I don't know if I like that. I meant rocking. Yeah, I do rock. Damn spell. Yeah, I hate it, man. It's a pain in the butt. That's why I try not to chat when I'm on my phone and YouTube. It just doesn't work for me. Yeah, sometimes that doesn't work either, Ralph. Sometimes kids just want to drive you nuts for a little extra longer. Come on, folks. Come on in. Jordan. I figured a little bit more would show up. Everybody was telling me to do this. I'm here. I want to do this. And if this doesn't work on Friday nights, I may try Saturday nights. I want to do a weekend because usually it's a little easier for me. And then, like I said, maybe one night during the week. Those I want to try to make a little more organized with topics and stuff. And then make the weekend for a little bit of fun and ghost stories and stuff. Oh, Vixen. Hey, Vixen. You pop back in finally, Miss Junior Bacon. How you doing tonight? Hey, Roger. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the cave. Like I said, we'll get some stories going here. Come on in. That's what I should do is get one of those. Fair, yeah, I've been there too. It's been a busy week, nonstop. Trying to get us home. Just trying to get us home. That's all I want. Yeah, I fell today and kind of bruised myself. Trying to get stuff done. So I'm trying not to have dead air. I'm just going to stare into the camera. But yeah, I think we're going to try to do one maybe like a Tuesday night, midnight, and have a topic. And then, like I said, we got every other Monday. She's got a video this Monday, no live stream. Then the following Monday, I think we have a video if she'll do one, if she does one. And then we'll do a live stream for about an hour at noon. And then, of course, our oracles on Wednesday night at 7:15. Get back into the things. And then Thursdays, hey, Bat Mom, how you doing? Feel like poop? Yeah. I don't feel like poop. I'm awake. My body never stops. But hey, Monster Radio, how you doing? Good to see you. Glad you came. Yeah, but just like I said, my goal right now is to get us home. I got him on that last leg. If I can get him just to finish up, and hopefully we'll be home soon. I'm gonna start working on the yard and getting it ready and trying to get things going again. Chilling like a villain. Yeah, I always say that. That and see you on the flip side. So what's new with you, Monster Radio? And we'll go into some stories here in a little bit. And I figured about 20 after. I'd give it about 20 after, and then I'll start going into stories. You got half your grass cut. Well, actually, we got lucky. Our neighbor next door was nice enough to cut our front yard because he cut his. So that helped us a little bit. A lot of times we go in, do what we need to do, and get out because it's empty. There's nothing there. But yeah, I'm ready to work on the yard. Oh, there you go. Bigfoot Conference, North Carolina Bigfoot Conference. Cool. No, the goal to get back in the house, Ralph, this 3 weeks now is what they're saying, if the weather holds out. Problem is, they're turning off the gas and the water. Hello, Madison. And because there's no heat really, and we've had some chilly nights, it makes it really hard for the putty and stuff that they're, repairing the walls and stuff. So it makes it a little harder to dry. They're putting in blowers in and stuff, but they're almost done. I mean, we've had a couple good days. They're cranking out now. Hello, Paranormal Pixie, Laura. How you doing, hon? It does a stupid jig to get attention. I'm not gonna because you don't have to turn your back on the family. Dead air. I'm gonna get used to that because I'm gonna try not to have dead air as much as possible. It's kind of hard sometimes because sometimes my voice doesn't always work the way I want it to. So yeah, I figured. Thank you, Laura. Like I said, about 20 after I'll start into a story. I got a couple good ones I'd like to tell tonight. Try to get into a little more detail, make them a little longer. And then, like I said, during the week, Tuesday night, I think Tuesday night would be good, or because we're doing something Wednesdays and Thursdays, and I think the Tuesday ones I'm going to try to touch on subjects, see what we come up with. Nothing special, nothing fancy, just stuff I like because I'm selfish. No, just kidding. And if you guys have ideas, let me know always. But I have a lot of stories too, so I always try to save them. I'm going to try to save those for the weekends. Yeah, I'm going to start with Fridays, see how Fridays do. Fridays, we'll go to Saturdays and try Saturdays. Sundays are my days. Those are my days. So how's everybody doing? We got people rolling in. We're up to 11 now. Cool. We can get it rocking here pretty soon. I'll start into a story about when I was about 16. Yeah, that's true. It's always about the story's personality. Yeah, true. I agree with that. Yeah, that's what you were saying, Ralph, about your house. Yeah, it sucks. It's just the red tape really screwed us. I think we should have been in at least a month ago. I mean, we've been here 4 months now, and Poor dad's having a rough time. He's having a rough time. Yeah, make sure you hit that like and share. We love that to happen. Um, talk about a few things in the description box down below. There's Gemma's books. Please check them out if you haven't yet. And now I ain't gonna try to pronounce that name. Ayatosa. Who cares? Boomer landlord. Okay, whatever. Okie dokie. Yeah, it's good to see people coming in now. So how's everybody doing tonight? I'm still just trying to get everybody grip. Yes, I like Gemma's books. They're all good. I don't think the third one should. It needs to get a little more publicity because it's not a bad book. It's a good book. I liked it a lot, and hopefully her next one will be just as good. You know, it takes a little ride, and you're going to go through a little wave here and there, but she's a good writer, so it'll be good. Yeah, it's not fun being displaced. I see. The thing is, I seem like the only one that can adapt well. I had no problem coming in here. I was good. I was. All that matters is that we were safe and had a roof over our head. Yeah, the stories are good. Yeah, I like that book. I think both my brothers read it. Um, I think my son has one of them now. Didn't know there was a third one. Yes, the shadows. Here, let me make sure. We'll do this. Dun dun dun. We'll go down here because I don't mind. I mean, it's her channel, so I'm going to promote her. You got Encounters with Ever. Where is her third book? Mystery of the Fae. She don't have a third book in here. Where is it, Gemma? You forgot to put your third book in here, woman. I don't know how to do that for you. Now let's do this. I'll be right back. I'm not going to go nowhere. I'm just going to do this and go here and go here real quick. And I'm going to see if I can put that third book in the chat there. Let's go here. I hope it's in this one. I'm looking through one of her videos here. Aha, here we go. And there we go. Copy. Get that out of my face. And we'll go back over here. Oh, the fun we have. What a way to start a show. And do this. There we go. It's a good book. I liked it. She could have gone a lot deeper. That book could be a lot thicker. But, you know, you got to get going and you got to start somewhere. So, and I really enjoyed it. I see 2C. Yeah, we all see 2C. Yeah, there it is. There's a link for it. Hello, Adna. Hold on, I was adjusting my screen here. How are you, hon? And everybody seems to be good. So we're going to get some ideas here. I'm going to get some things going here. So the goal, I'm going to start with one when I was about 16 years old, and we went down to it was my dad's from Chillicothe. We go down every Sunday. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell stories, and then we'll just kind of go from there. Aunt Edna, so you. Oh, Ghost Dragon. Actually, dragons. It was a fighting name when I first started, and it stuck. And then at school, I went by two names. SLD. My real name was Lee Stephen Davis. Mom and Dad changed it because it was everybody was calling me LSD. So they changed it to Stephen Lee. But that was one of my nicknames. And then Ghost because I was this guy's best friend. We were friends forever, and we always seemed to be ghosting each other. So that seemed to be the nickname, Twin Ghosts. And then when I started fighting um, Ghostdragonzw, and I use it every so often over the years. When I first got on YouTube, I went by Stephen Lee Davis, and then I just went by Dragon ZW, and then Black Dragon was showing up in chat, and everybody was saying Dragon. I kept thinking they were talking about me, so I went ahead and put the ghost back on, and that's how I got my name. There you go. Yeah, but I'll go ahead and do that here. I think I'll start the story about 20 after. I'm keeping an eye on. Yep, see me and poof, you gone, Mirage. Yeah. You know, it was funny. My senior year, I was 18 years old. My beginning of my senior year. So about 3 weeks into the school year, I turned 18. My mom wrote a note to the school saying he's 18 years old. He's an adult. He can write his own notes. He's a responsible kid. I was in a work program anyways. I went to school half a day and then went to work from 1 to whenever I got off. It was good. I had a good time. It was easy school, but I graduated. Any other questions while we're waiting to start? I'll answer some questions. Why not? Anybody else? Yeah, you did that your senior. I was in OWA, Iowa Work Association program, or something like that. In my freshman year, and I went to school half a day and worked. Then my sophomore, junior year, I went to school, and because I already had a job, they just let me take a half a day. So pretty much the whole year, all 4 years, I went half a days. So it was kind of cool. I can't complain. They always worked with me. I was 18 years old. They knew I was going to work. They knew where I was at. I like picking up shifts. I was working for Bonanza then. That's what I did. I worked. And if I wasn't working, I was out having fun. And if I wasn't out fun, I was in class in martial arts. Yeah, I've done that. I worked third shift at Myers. Oh, I tell you what, you think Walmart was crazy. In the day, Myers was the polite night shop. There was hardly anybody in there. And I worked in the toy department, so I played with toys all night. Yeah, the work programs were a good thing. I think it helped a lot of kids. I don't know. It's like what do they call those? I can't think of them. Um, the career schools where I thought were a good idea. I hope they still have those because you go to career school and then you go into a tech college. Boom, you got a job pretty much right after you get out. Jack in the Box. Funny. Jack in the Box. That's hilarious. Let's see what we got here. I'll give it about 1 more minute and I'll start going into stories. And we'll go from there. Yeah, mine was OWA my freshman year, and then my senior year was VICA. In fact, I was the president, which was a joke in itself because I always worked. Yeah, as soon as about 1 o'clock, I was heading off to work. Yeah, Job Corp, trade schools, always best bet for kids now. You want them, get them working, put them in those. You get out, and you're pretty much guaranteed a job. Right now, construction and electrical, plumbing, the whole kit and caboodle is hot right now. Even though our economy is going, we're still doing really good. Yes, I did practice for a while. Yes, I actually fought for from 78 to 82 when I got disqualified. Hit a ref who wasn't calling kidney punches. Those days it was small tournaments, made a few $100 here and there, fighting. Nothing. It was nothing special. I didn't do too bad. I had a lot of fun times. Oh, don't worry about it, Mike. You're good. No sweat, guy. Hey, it happens. I just try to be careful because of the way things get with YouTube. And Gemma loves this channel, so and it is about good times. Let's have fun. Like I said, I think the Tuesday night ones, if I do it when I'd like to wait to do the Tuesdays when I'm home. That way I can really be organized and be a little more professional. It's kind of winging it here at the hotel because I really don't know what one day from another is right now. As soon as they say you can go home, we're going. So let's go into it. It's 12:21. I'm going to start with a good one of my faves. It's something that stuck with me. It's just a good story. We used to go down to my dad's parents' house every Sunday. I think I was about 16. It was getting to the last leg where I was not wanting to go down. When we got a little older, they gave us the choice to hang out at home. Um, oh no, you were fine, Pixie. You were fine. All about you. That's what the fun's for. That's why she lets you do it. You're about rambling. I'm just there to kind of keep an eye on the show and make sure nobody gets out of hand. But no, I'm just basically there to make sure you don't have any tech troubles and help you with questions. You did a high school wrestling. Oops, good times. But yeah, we were heading. It was a Sunday afternoon, heading to Chillicothe. We get down there. We usually left right after church, and we got down there, and it was like a nice day. It was, I think it was, yeah, it was August, and warm, toasty day. Everybody was kind of cool. Went down there. We go down there and have dinner, hang out, visit with his mom and dad. Then we go over to my aunt and uncles and hang out with them. And then we eat dinner with them and head home. Well, while we're down there, sometimes we'll go down and dad will get we'll go down on a Saturday and stuff. But on this Sunday, we weren't going to go down and stay the night. We went down and a bunch of us went out in the neighborhood. Where he lived was a pretty, um, the poorer section of town. And as it was growing, it's gotten a little better now, but the neighborhood's old, very old. And we were running around, and there was an old abandoned house. And one of my cousins was telling me that an old man had just passed there about 2 years ago. They had taken nothing out of it. Nobody claimed anything. So we were I got curious and started going up and checking it out. And this was probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just before dinner. And as I'm walking around the house, they're like, "Come out of here! You're going to get in trouble." And I said, "Well, if nobody's living here, nobody's going to say anything. I'm not going to go in the house." So we were walking around. So they all joined along. There was four of us, and we were walking around, just checking out the house, trying to look in the windows and stuff. And at first, I thought it was a homeless person had gotten in. We noticed one of the windows was like cracked and looked like it had tried to be pulled back down. It was because it was shifted. And so we're watching something moving around. You could tell it was kind of a person. So I was telling everybody to check this out. We're all looking in. We're all trying to figure out what it could have been. And it looked maybe like a homeless person at first, but it always stayed in the shadows, like in the corners, because the house was still real dark. There was some of the windows still had curtains on them. And I think it was one of my, it was one of the boys. I think it was David, said, "Look in the other corner." and it was like a corner. It was a wall like this, like I'm trying to. It's hard to do on the screen. It was a corner, and then in the corner of the corner there was a small, like a thin door that was open, like a little closet, like a little broom closet, and all you could see in it was about halfway up was just two red dots, and I'm like, that's got to be reflection off of something. He's like, no, I don't think so. I swear they were blinking. So we stood there, and it's in the middle of the afternoon. We're like, this stuff happens at night. And one of the girls go, Steve, what'd you do? And she goes, everywhere you go, you do this stuff. And I go, no, I didn't do this. I don't bring this. I see. I just see it. You guys are seeing it, so I don't feel bad now. And all of a sudden, the door. It was like something from the inside. You couldn't see the shadow, but the door started closing, and everybody's like, "Oh God, no, no, no!" So we didn't scream and run. We just kind of watched it all and like, what the heck? And the door closed. It didn't slam. It just closed. And we all kind of stand there puzzled. And then the thing that was in the corner stood up. I would say it was a solid black shadow, probably about 6 foot, maybe a little taller. It was hard to really tell, but it was tall. I mean, his head was almost in the top corner of the wall ceiling corner, and it just stood there. And the door opened, backed up, and it walks into the corner. I've never seen three people run. I'm standing there. Next thing I know, they're already booking down the driveway, jumping the fence. And I'm like, what are you running for? He went back inside. And it's crazy. We went back a couple more times, and it looked like somebody had ripped that door off. Now, we don't know how somebody's getting in, but when we went back, that same little broom closet door, I mean, it was a thin door. I mean, you were like weed sticks, brooms. And we were freaked out because that door had literally been ripped off. And it looked like something sprayed across the floor. We couldn't see what it was, but it was definitely like something had shot out the door. It was weird. It was really strange. We went back a couple more times. We never went back at night. Went back a couple more times. And one of the girls said that they said there was a wheelchair in there, and every time she noticed it was in a different location. I never noticed that, but it's probably possible. That place was weird. I would have loved to actually gotten inside and seen what happened, because you could definitely see stuff up the outside. I can imagine what it would have been like at night. Wow, intense. And then but that's not a scary story. But what sticks with me is the eyes in the closet, because it was like not size of a child, and you really couldn't see a form. It was just two red dots, and if you watched it long enough, it looked like they blinked. It was really weird. Kind of off-putting a couple times when we stood down, because we watched it for a while before the shadow stood up and walked across the room. Anybody has any ideas for a story? My favorite, and one of my favorites too. See, I had a lot of encounters down around Athens, University, and Logan. A lot of those are rake stories. I've seen a lot. Rakes seem to be something I see when I'm out in the woods. I call them rakes because that's what they look like. They're long and they're lanky. They're pale. They move quick. They make some really weird noises. Their eyes always black, sharp teeth. Really not much facial features. We were down there one time. It was early May. It was about this time of year, actually. And we go down, and we would, like I said, we had a friend that had a cabin down there, and I had friends that have some cabins that they rent down there, but this was a little later in life. We went down to our friend who had a cabin down there, and they have a pond, so we were down there fishing one night and doing some late night fishing, see if we could catch anything good. And that was another one of those nights where it got real quiet. I mean, you could hear a pin drop. It like nothing. No crickets, no nothing. It's about 10 o'clock at night. We sat there, kept fishing, just kind of watching and listening because it was dead quiet. I mean, you usually hear something. Either the wild peacocks are yelling or something's going. I mean, sometimes you can hear the music clear across the valley. Um, but it was dead quiet, and it stayed like that for like a half hour. And then noises kind of picked up again. We started hearing crickets again. And Greg goes, "That was weird. That was really weird." And I said, "Yeah, that's not something was around. Usually when he gets quiet like that, there's something around." He goes, "Y'all, shut up. You and your gab." And we sat there for about. We gave the fishing another. I think it was about another hour. We were catching little stuff, nothing big. Yeah, getting your yeah, no. Oh, hello, Jules. And we sat there, and then we just sat there and was just talking. He was drinking a beer. I was smoking a cig, and we started to pack up, and it got quiet again. And I'm pretty sure what we heard first was an owl. Sounded like a screech owl. And then it got quiet real fast after that. And then the dead silence kind of turned into like it sounded like whispering from a distance, but real loud. You know, and it was real loud. I mean, it was kind of creepy. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Oh, Zane Grain Museum. I've been around there. That Grassman territory. Yeah. Um, we uh, we got quiet again. You could hear it. It was like it was just this, and then it got quiet again, and then we heard what sounded like footsteps getting closer, but it was like step, 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 step. And at first, it sounded we couldn't tell if it was 2 feet or all on fours. And Greg stood up and goes, "That's so weird. What is that?" I said, It could be anything." So we got quiet and we started packing up and kind of watching around us, and it stayed quiet. I mean, it stayed dead quiet. But other than this, and then you'd hear this whispering. Well, we finally started back real quietly and kind of keeping to ourselves, kind of watching and looking around, kind of freaking out a little bit. You know, the thing was, I would, I don't, he doesn't believe in that stuff. So I didn't say anything. And I have seen little shadows out in those very woods. Um, but, anyways, what was weird was as we got closer, he kept looking off to his right. The path would go up this hill and go up around. And he kept looking to his right across from me because I was on his right hand side. And he would look and what are you looking at? And he did it a couple times. He goes, nothing. I'm kind of freaked out. It's too quiet. And we kept walking. All you could hear was our footsteps, and that was it. And then stepping started again. To step, 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 step. And then the whispering got way louder, and we could tell it was closer. And Greg goes, "What's that?" And you could see that it was white, whatever it was. We couldn't get a full picture of it, good side of it. But it looked like it jumped over a fallen log. And you can see 4 long limbs and 4 long limbs behind. The body was really weird shape because it moved so fast. And we heard a cry. It sounded like something killing a peacock. You know, if you ever heard a peacock cry, it's like a kid screaming. It's weird. And it got quiet again, and then it sounded like something was being dragged through the woods. And Greg looked at me and goes, "We're done. We're going home." And we right back to the cabin. We even went out the next night to fish, and it was total quiet. I mean, other than the crickets and things. And then he said he saw it again. He went down one morning by himself, and he said he kept seeing it in the daytime. Now this was at night, so these things I've only seen in pre-evening and sunsetting or at night. But he said one morning he was down there, and said he was watching something watching him, and he said it was white, and it stayed behind all the bushes and just kind of paced around, and then it would disappear a while, and then come back, and he'd see it, but he didn't see it. You know what I say? He could see it was big and it was white. It was long and lanky, as he said. But he said he never got a good look at it. But he never it seemed to bother him. I think he just kind of played it off in his head. Fox do that too. Yeah, they sound like kids crying or women crying. Yeah, they get confused a lot with screaming ladies. um, but that's one of the many times. Actually, we were up in up. It was up around. I don't know if you Marblehead Lighthouses, which is on the. If you go to Cedar Point in Sandusky, you can stand at Marblehead Lighthouse and see Cedar Park. Oh, you owned a fox, Chris? That's cool. And we went up there, and there's a over by the lighthouse is like a beach, and then they have a camping area. We'd go up there and camp, and me and my ex went up there when we would go up there during the summer, like once a month during the summer, and go camping. And we were up there one night, and we liked the campground, so we always went back. Yeah, used to fish in Sandusky. Yeah, a lot. We did too. That's what she'd do. She'd sit and watch me fish. Anyways, we went up one time. And it was funny because the night started off was we went and had dinner, came back. We were sitting around the campfire, and we were eating Cheez-Its. I was eating out of a box of Cheez-Its, and talking, just not paying attention. We were drinking a little bit, getting a little tipsy, having a good time, just rambling. And I put the box down between us, not thinking. And she went to reach down to grab the box, and she felt something fuzzy or furry. And she looks down, and there's a skunk. It's got his head in the box. And you talk about two people that just jumped up and ran like hellfire. It was hilarious. We're like, say leave, just please leave. And the skunk just kind of casually strolled around the camp. I'll have a little of this, I'll have a little of that. Finally wandered off. We were like on guard the rest of the night. So she goes, just take the box and scatter them out there away from us so they leave us alone. So I did that, and we were sitting talking. And see, in this area, I've never heard anything spooky, but I didn't want to say nothing to her. But where we were camping at, there's like a field, and it had real high grass, and every so often it looked like a guy standing in it. It was really weird. It was just a shadow, but where he was standing, it was like our campsite and then another campsite. He was like standing in front of their campsite, watching the other people's campsite. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, should I say something to her? Should I go over and say something to them? It's creepy looking. And it looked like somebody just standing just inside that grass line. And you'd see and every so often you see the head like perk up. And I thought, well, maybe they just got somebody messing with them. So I just sat there quietly and didn't say nothing. The guy in the other campsite stands up and says something to his wife, and she kind of giggled, and he went back in the tent, and she's sitting, and all of a sudden I see her staring at that grass. So I don't know if she was seeing it too. And finally the ex goes, what are you guys looking at? Because you could tell both of us, even, and we were pretty close, that we were watching. And she goes, don't you see it? I say casually, because I didn't want to point it out. I said, look in the grass. And she goes, I don't see anything. You don't see a head popping up every so often? She goes, no. Are you sure you don't see it? She goes, no. I look over, and the lady is now standing up, and she's doing this. And I'm going, you see it too? And I finally said, you see it too? And she goes, yeah, what is that? And I got up, and we both started walking toward it. As soon as we got real close, you could see the grasses go, and it was gone. Never came back. So I don't know if it was a person or somebody just being creepy, but it was creepy. I don't know. See, we're by the lake, and it's kind of where we were at was kind of popular. I mean, it could be. I don't think I've heard. I'm sure there's Bigfoot or some kind of stories up around there. I've asked town people, other than a few ghost stories about the lighthouse and around, well, not really about the lighthouse, but around some of the houses in that area, which is it's a neat little town. Yeah, babies are so cute. Yeah. Um, I'm trying to work up, I'm trying to save the good ones for as we go along, because I do have some good ones. I guess I go into, because these are kind of small and short, and they're not really that spooky. They're more fun. Um, we had in my sophomore year, a bunch of us went up to. It's a town. It's not Helltown, but it's a little town just north of Mansfield, Ohio. Just a little hick town. We heard about an old factory. Actually, I think it was a processing plant for seed. And we had heard about this place, and it was, said it had some really bad going ons. So we got up in the town. I'm really good about, checking things out, talking to people. Apparently, a couple people had died in the place. Wasn't really very safe back in the day. Um, Said, yeah, you got to watch going up there at night. The people would say that there seems to be something that looks around in the buildings. They're not sure if it's an animal, but they always get stories. Police always get stories about it. So we said, oh, what the heck? So we went and we went to the town hall the next day, because a lot of times we'd go during the summer and take like 4 or 5 days and go. And we got up there. We went to City Hall and asked if we had, if we could go check the place out. You don't want to. I was always real careful about just jumping the fence. Some of these places and some of these far off places hidden away, you jump a fence, you might find a gun in your face. So you always real careful and check around and ask. And they can, yeah, you can go. Just be careful. Police come, just tell them, said it was okay. I think one of the girls we were with had a Polaroid. I think she even still has the pictures. I'll have to get with her, see if I can find her. It's been a long time. She had one of the Polaroid cameras, that instant cameras, and we went up and we were all walking around. It was probably about 7 o'clock, a nice July night, so that long day. Sun was still out. We're walking around, checking that place out. There's a big building, looked like a warehouse storage place, and we go in there. Not much in there, just equipment, some conveyor belts and stuff. And we're walking around. We were in there for about an hour, just pacing around, talking, shooting crap. She was taking pictures. And as we're leaving there and the sun's going down, the one side of the building, it faced the west side, and there was a big window that was busted out. And that sun hit that window just right, just as it was setting, that it shot like a beam of light through the building. So she thought it was kind of cool and took a picture. And I remember this. It was really cool. We walk out and she's shaking the picture, waiting for it to, develop. And we're talking. And I think it was Jonathan said, "Do you hear that?" And it sounded like a conveyor belt running. It's just north of Mansfield. It's a little hick town. I can't remember the name. I'll have to pull out my notes. See, that's the thing. I have everything. The places I've been are all written down. But it's just north of Mansfield, up around Rooster, I think it is. You know where that's at, Chris? Rooster, Ohio. It's up around in there. And we went and we're hearing these. It sounded like a conveyor belt running. He goes, "That's weird. Did you hear that?" And I said, "Yeah." And they all started listening. And she's still shaking the picture. When the picture developed, she dropped it. And standing in the light, just like it was like on the other side, so you could just see the features, was this man standing on the light came in, hit the conveyor belt, and you could see a figure, and you could see somebody standing there. Thing was, it was like half his face was gone. And she's like, look at this. She picks it up the ground and goes, look at this crap. So we're like, holy crap. And she's shaking. I mean, she is literally shaking. Hi, chilling. How you doing, sir? And we kind of paused and kind of got our crap together. And I go, you guys want to go back in? She goes, yeah, I want to try to take a couple more pictures. And she had, with those things, they had the big old flash bulbs. It was like blind you after you take a picture. So she went in there and we all kind of just stood around behind her so it wouldn't kill our eyes. And she just started taking pictures in the dark. And we didn't go in all the way. It got dark in there once the sun went down. And hi, Pet. Hey, Divine. How you doing tonight? I live in Ohio, not far from Mansfield. I know where that's at. Yeah. Yeah. It was a spooky place. So we kind of went back in. She was taking pictures, and as we started leaving again, it sounded like the conveyor belts were running again. It was creepy, and we kind of stood, and the girl that was taking the pictures goes, "Can you hear the talking?" And I said, "I don't hear no talking." And she got real quiet. And Jonathan and David kind of started stepping back. And when I turned around and looked, it looked like underneath one of the conveyor belts, something was squatting down, and it had the goldest eyes I'd ever seen. I'm going, that's got to be an animal. And he goes, I don't want to find out. So those two and the girl walked out, and I'm standing there, so I'm backing up, trying to figure out what it is. And when it kind of moved out from underneath the conveyor belt, and the guy that we saw in the light in the picture that was on the other in the picture that had half her face, it's like this thing stood up and walked toward that area and then just disappeared. And they're all like, come on, come on, come on, this is freaking us out. And what was weird is we left that place. We had a pretty good time after that. I mean, nobody felt anything weird. We get back, and I get a phone call from the girl that took the picture. Her name was Janie. And I remember this. She said, I don't know what's going on, but there's weird stuff going in my house now. Stuff's being moved. My two little brothers are freaking out, and I don't know what to do. Mom and Dad are asking me, what did I do? Because they were good Christian folks, and go, what kind of demon did you bring in this house? And I'm like freaking out because we're young, and I did some research for her. When I'm like, you're going to have a minister maybe go in and bless the house. Maybe we're pretty sure she brought something home. I heard that they took care of it. I heard things got real crazy. I wish I'd gone and actually visited her, but she kept telling me no, that it would freak me out because she knows that she was one of the few people that knew that I always saw other things following other people. So she didn't want me to come and kind of freak out. So because she kept saying that she was seeing something follow her little brother around. And it creeped her out. And I kept asking her, she knew I see that stuff. And she would try to describe it to me. It was a solid black mass. One time it'd be real big, and other times it'd be real small. But I guess when she got real quiet for a while. She called me back and let me know that they had reached out to their family minister. At first, he kind of joked with them about it, which kind of upset me. But I guess they had invited him over for dinner, and some stuff happened. So I believe he called another minister, and they went into the house and blessed it. And they said they didn't have a problem after that. But she said her little brother was really never the same afterwards. He was always he always wanted to be in the light. He never after that, he really hated the dark. I And I haven't talked to her in a long time. I'll have to see if I can reach out to anybody who has talked to her since, if her brother's okay. But it was weird because it did affect her a lot. I'm pretty sure we brought something home that night. When she took that picture, something attached herself and then hooked onto her little brother. I really hope she's kind of like me. She kept things kind of quiet and personal. So, but she was always, she knew I was the odd one I wouldn't say odd one, but she knew I was the one that believed that stuff more than anybody in our little groups over the years. We have a house in my neighborhood here in Cincinnati that has 6 different spirits in it. Old house that was the first mayor's house. Oh, his wife and buried in the yard to this day. I believe I know that same house, Chris. I lived in Clarain for a while and worked in Harrison. I'm sure you know where that's at on the border there. I believe I know where that's at. I could be wrong. There's a couple old places in Cincinnati. That's an interesting town in itself. Now, downtown Cincinnati is kind of creepy sometimes too. We went to a Cincinnati Reds game, and that was probably the last time I went to a Reds game. We had opened a Bonanza there in Harrison. Hey, you lived there for 7 years? Yeah, I lived right off, I believe it was 75. Over by the movie theater there off of the main drag there. But we went to a game. It was after the fact it was the last baseball game, one of the last sporting games, baseball games I went to at the Reds. And we went to this game. I had a hard time for that game. There was a lot of people that had things falling around at that game. It was an uneasy game. I think we left by the 5th inning because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It was just so much. It was like the last concert I went to. We went and it was right after I watched the ending of Dimebag because I was at that show at the Alarosa. I had walked up. I literally live right down the road from from Alarosa, and I'd gone to that show, but after that show they didn't really have much business, so I went the following week down to the Newport Music Hall, and a friend of mine band was playing like a weeknight. And it was really weird that night because it was right after this, and people were kind of in a kind of funky mood. The crowd wasn't very big, but it was really weird because all night his lead guitarist kept having this shadow just standing there over him all night long, and it was weird because about I think it was about it wasn't even 6 months after that he overdosed. And I'm like, yeah, I know what was behind that. And he was actually a really nice guy. I just never figured him the type, but that's what happened. And sometimes you see sometimes I get lucky and see other people's demons, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. See what I read in here. I'll try to read. So when you guys start talking that stone stuff, I need Gemma here because I'm still learning all that stuff. I'm trying. When you guys talked about taking grave dirt, I never heard that before. And I'm from Hillfolk, and that was the first. If they've ever talked about it, I'd never noticed it. That was the first time I'd ever heard that. I was like, wow, that's something I haven't heard before. Bobby Mackey's. You been there, Chris? Yeah, and Bobby. The Sadamsville reactor. I'm not even going to say it. I've been by the place, but I haven't been in the place. That's one place I hadn't been yet. I've been to Bobby Mackey's. I have been to Bobby Mackey's. That place is, I've been there twice. And that place is, I watch people freak out more than I do. I guess it's just because I see. I told you about the one time we went back the second time, and it was a lady there, and nothing was with her when she went in, but when she left, I'm pretty sure something followed her out. I'm sure she probably went home to a nightmare. I've never had a problem in cemeteries either. And I literally, other than the night my hair turned white, and I didn't even have a problem then. It just was a weird, weird moment in my life. Um, but I know other kids growing up when we played kick a can. We actually played ghost in the graveyard in the cemetery we lived by. Um, it was all right. Some summers nobody would complain, but then there'd be a couple summers where a couple kids wouldn't play with us anymore because they'd seen something in the cemetery. A lot of them wouldn't tell you what it was. They would, oh, you wouldn't believe me. Well, blah, you'd be surprised what I would believe. You don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. We found one of those. That was a good one. Nothing really happened, but it was just creepy. We were up in Sydney, Ohio. My brother lived in Sydney, Ohio, and then we'd visit him, and then El Dorado race course, the dirt track. I think it's El Dorado, El Dorado dirt track. A friend of mine knew the Blaney's. Dave Blaney raced, and his son is racing NASCAR now. And Dave raced NASCAR, and then Dave had a brother Dale. They drove before Dave went in the NASCAR. They drove dirt track, and we drove up there and watched them race. But anyways, in Sydney, we were up hanging around my brother's, and we found a huge, fairly large patch of woods. In the center of it was a pet cemetery, and it was creepy. I wouldn't have been there, buried there if I was a pet. Even it was just a creepy place. It gave off a really weird vibe. Edgewater Speedway, yeah, yeah, I've been there too. Um, I I wasn't much of a racing guy, and you can only watch somebody do a left turn so many times. But I mean, I enjoyed it. It was fun to go to the races. I enjoyed it. It's to me watching racing, baseball, golf on TV, and all that just seems boring. It's better to be there where you feel the excitement a little better. I don't mind. I even will watch football, but I only watch it for a little bit and kind of then check in. I'm not the sports fan I used to be, anyways. So and here, um, but we in here where I live now. See, I live along the old Tangier River Road, river. Sorry, River Road. There is a road there too. Restoring muscle cars. Oh, the individual. And there's stories about that place. But one of the beautiful places that I found, it wasn't creepy and it wasn't really, it just kind of made me uneasy. Um, I've said this before. Um, I have friends that work for the National Park System. I'm not going to say their names. I don't want to get in trouble. They would sneak us into the Adena Mound areas after closing, and the Serpent Mound and the mounds all along, you know, all the way down, and some up north. And we'd get in, sneak in. He'd bring us in. We'd go and walk around at night. I'll tell you, I've had some interesting times in around those mounds at night. Especially, I just wish we had camera phones in the day. I really do because people didn't carry cameras everywhere they went. Um, a lot of the stuff I would have loved to capture. We were down there one night and the Hopewell Mounds, and yeah, um, we were up there. It was late. He got us in late, and the deal was we go in, we're quiet, we're respectful. We leave no trash, leave no trace, and not to walk on the mounts. And it's not. I always found it. A lot of people know that in those mounds, when they rebuilt those mounds, what they found in those mounds before they rebuilt them, they found a lot of giant bones, and that is a fact. A lot of giant bones, And one of the second times he stuck us down there around the Hopewell Mountains, we actually stayed. We kind of hid in the woods and built a small campsite without no fire. No, we weren't allowed to have fire or anything. So it was kind of a cool night, but it was a summer day, and we stayed the night. And we all one night about 2 o'clock went along the biggest mound and just sat facing north, and pretty quiet. In fact, two of the people I was with fell asleep leaning up against the mound, and I was watching, and the other guy that I was with was like, "Dude, do you see that?" And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "There's something moving in the tree line over there on the other side of us." And I started watching, and you could see the trees were moving in that area. There was no wind, nothing. It wasn't raining. It was a beautiful night, beautiful still night, in fact. It was quiet. I mean, you could hear crickets and stuff, but it was really weird. The trees were moving, but they weren't like the leaves were blowing. They were like the trees were doing this. And I'm watching the trees, and he's watching from when he says, "Look in between the trees, look in between the trees." And I'm watching, and it's real dark. And I'm like, "I don't see what you're seeing." And he goes, "Look away, then look back again." So I looked away for a little bit and looked back. And the trees are still moving, but they're moving together. They weren't the first they were doing this, and then they started doing this. And I'm looking in between the trees, and then you could see it. It was a black figure. That thing was huge. It was taller than almost as tall as the trees. All you could see was what looked. You saw a little bit of clear, like there was two legs, and then as you look up the tree, there was back. And then you could see like something holding the trees, and then you could see a head just under the tree line, and it was looking like doing this, like it was trying to scare us away. And but you couldn't hear the trees. It was shaking the trees, but you couldn't hear. You would figure you'd hear noise. And we're looking at each other, and he's like, "Dude, this is not cool." So we wake up the other two guys, and they're like, what's going on?" And we're going, "Watch." And as soon as they started talking, it stopped. And I'm going, "Wait, it stopped." And he goes, "See, you're screwing us." And I go, "No, watch." And it didn't start, and it did start. And we noticed that in between the trees, you could see again. And we sat there for a little longer. We'll just hang out and see if we come back. Well, then it was probably about 10, 20 minutes later. We decided to start walking back to where we had hid out to camp. And because we had to be out before the morning rangers came in, because he was the night guy. Um, and we were, we had, some munchies. We cleaned up our mess and making sure it was all nice and perfect. And we started hearing, we're still on the north side of the mound. And from the east side of the mounds, we could hear this, uh, 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 and it was really loud. And it actually sounded like it was coming from the sky. And it got a little louder and more rhythmic, like and it was just consistent. And we also, we're all kind of picking up our trash, and we're watching and looking. And just as soon as we started moving toward the sound, our buddy that lets us stay there, he was driving a little golf cart very carefully they have little walkways, and we watch him park, and he gets up and he starts walking real fast to us. He goes, "Dudes, I think it's time for you guys to go." And I'm like, "Why?" And he goes, "You stirred something up." And I didn't know that there were possibly Bigfoot in the area or anything like that in the area. I'm sure there is, because it's all, you know, woods there. When around the mountains, they kept it pretty pristine. And he's like, "You got to go. You got to go. You got to go now." And we're heading back. He's walking back to where we had our campsite. We're packing up, and you could hear the trees breaking. And I'm like, "Dude, this is not cool." I mean, these sound like big trees breaking. And I it sounded like not at the base of the tree. It was sounded like you could when they was breaking. It was like they were grabbing a handful of twigs, like the top of the tree, and you could hear it crunching in their hands before the trunk snapped. And he's like, "Dude, you got to go. You got to go. You got to go." I go, "How come you never told us about this? Because we're not allowed to talk about stuff." And I go, "Really?" He goes, "I won't even tell you stuff." And he goes, "And I know you're into this stuff. You'd want to be here every night." And I said, "Yeah." So we're packing up and we're rushing. We're trying to get out of there because he's really pushing us to get out. I go, "Well, do we go home?" And it's like about an hour and a half drive, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And he goes, "Just do me a favor. Just go. I don't care where you go. Just don't stay here." So we left. We're heading back out to the where we hid our car at the parking lot, and because they have a little hideaway back there where they park some of the Ranger trucks, and he let us park there. We get to there, and we hear this big. It was I wouldn't say a hoot, but it was more like a scream, a real deep scream. And we all stopped and we're like listening, and then it sounded like another tree breaking. So we all told ourselves we're coming back tomorrow when they're open. We'll come in this guy. Well, we went back. We went and we actually slept in our cars at a rest stop for the rest of the night. We went back and we're walking around the woods where we were at. And I'll be damned, pardon my mouth. There were some of the trees pretty high up, literally just broke right in half. And it literally looked like something. You could see where it squeezed it. Whatever it was really big. And I would love to know how it hides because where do you hide something that big? And we walked around all the way up until closing, trying to look for any kind of signs. You could see where ground had been shuffled, other than broken trunks and trees. I mean, I'm not talking big trunks. I'm talking, good size, good, something big would have to break it. It was pretty wild. I would say that was probably my best Bigfoot encounter. But the shadow we saw in the tree, I don't think that was a Bigfoot. It was too big. I think we saw a spirit of a giant. I really do. And that thing was huge. And its head just came to the top of the trees. And when it showed up, it must have created a bunch of activity because we were pretty quiet. I mean, we weren't being loud or anything. Like I said, two of them were crashed. I've heard other people say that Bigfoot runs through the tree chops. Now, see, I'm not a Bigfoot. I'm not gonna say I'm not a Bigfoot guy. I've never really actively gone out and gotten depth into that, but it's pretty tense stuff that I've seen or heard. Some of the stories I've heard around Ohio, especially like Chris said around Zane, is pretty amazing. Some of the stories, the Grassman stories. I think I saw a Grassman. The only time I think I ever really saw anything, but who's to say it wasn't a guy in a gunny suit? It moved real fast. It wasn't very big. I'd say it was a little over 6 foot, but it moved fast. But it could have been anything. But some of the stories I hear out, especially out in East Ohio, along that area, pretty good stories. Oh, easily be done. Now, you see, now everybody believes in the interdimensional theory too. I know a lot of people do, or they're aliens. Uh, anything is possible right now. The veil's lifting, and it's not only thinning, it's lifting. More and more things are happening. You're seeing everybody. I would say you would be surprised if you stood in a crowd of 50 people. I would probably say 30 of those people had an experience and probably didn't even know it or wouldn't recognize it. I wouldn't say recognize it, or would it admit to it? No, see, I think Bigfoot are part of the giant of the Nephilims. That's my theory. And there's a lot of reason to believe that. The Nephilim weren't just giant humans. They were all shapes and sizes. They were pretty kind of creepy things. And I'm sure there was some good and there was some bad, where they all turned bad at the end. But lips are getting dry. Sorry. But yeah, I wanted. I think before I know the Bigfoot stuff, but I would really like to go Bigfoot hunting. But my problem is every time I go looking for something, either I don't find it and get discouraged, or I find it, and it's usually the stuff that I don't want to. I shouldn't be looking for is the stuff I find. Do you believe in Squatch? I do believe in it. I believe there is something out there. I often joke to say that King Kong is the king of the Squatches. If you look at Kong in the movie, and to me, he looks maybe more primate, but he stands like a Squatch. He acts like a Squatch. So as far as I'm concerned, Kong is the king of Squatches. Good salt for Ghost Dragon. You know, I've been told that before. I may have to do that. Our ancient history. Now you're talking into one of my favorite subjects. Um, yes, I do love. I People call it ancient history. I call it forbidden history or hidden history. It's the history they don't really want us to talk about and know about because they have actively have tried to hide it over the years. And I mean, I can say they literally have buried stuff to hide the truth. Yeti is the same, right? Goes right now. See, I would think they're all part of the same family. The Yeti is just more of a snow beast. I mean, I'm sure they're all related in one way. Ancestors, possibly. It all depends on how you look at those, you know, well, excuse me, those evolution theories. You know, everybody has their own little theory. What did Vixen Dose say? Where'd you go, Vixen? What'd you say? Did I miss it? Huh? Making noises. I've been hanging around with my old man too long, Pop too long. You know, everybody was cracking up. I saw that meme the other day about, you know, deja vu is maybe you lost a life and you're starting at a new checkpoint. I saw that meme and I just typed it out on Facebook because I liked it because it made kind of a weird sense. Because sometimes when I have deja vu, it's like it's something that either it's like something that's already happened just not too long ago. Then I've had a lot of restarts. But I thought that was an interesting little. Oh yes, the burial mounds. You know, they could have Bigfoot in them. These bones that they took out of them many moons ago, they were giant bones. You know, and you know you can put bones together and get an idea of the shape, but you don't what it looked like on the outside. You know, a lot of people think that dinosaurs don't really look at what they showed us and presented to us over the years, because in some dinosaur bones they only have two or three bones, and then they just kind of speculate as they build from there. You know, there's very few actual full dinosaur bones out there. Oh, that the Squatch made them? Then they must have helped the mound builders. Though, you know, a lot of people don't realize that they were a little more advanced than we may think too. I mean, you look at Serpent Mound. Serpent Mound's amazing. What about the Chernobyl mutations? Now they're starting to show up more and more. Now, for years, they didn't say there were no mutations, but now you're seeing more and more pictures, and it's highly possible. I mean, that place, it's not really safe anymore. They say that you can get closer now, but you'll never be able to get close to the actual incident. I mean, that elephant foot down in the bottom there, that's going to stay radioactive for a long time. And you can imagine, I don't care what anybody says, you know how far that reaches out. It's going to change things. Things are going to be forever affected by that. I know that town, the stories I've heard about, you know, the town itself. There are some creepy stories that come out of that place. Some really creepy stories. I'll have to go dig some of them up. I did research for him about a few years ago for a guy. And some of the stories I found were just crazy. I'm going to go back and see if I can find my notes when I get home. That would be a good topic because that place, ooh, I don't think anybody will ever live there again. Ever, ever, ever. So, what are we at here? Oh, we're at 1:15. Have I really been going for an hour? And we've done pretty good. I'm down to 7 people now. I must have got boring. So, did native tribes did cooperate and even live among the Sibon tribes? It's possible. You know, when I've dug around in the histories, I find that um, a lot of the tribe nations, Native Americans, a lot of the stuff that went on in this country was a little more advanced. Same thing with when you look at Africa, and I'm not just talking Northern Africa. I mean, you look around in South America, you go rolling around in the Aztec area. These people were way more advanced and worked together a lot more than we thought they did. Yeah, they may have fought, but there were definitely a lot more politics than that were involved in their societies and technologies involved in the societies that we're going to find out. It's coming. And from what I've seen, I mean, I've seen pictures that I'm going to start posting pretty soon that have been on some of the videos that I sent out stuff for that are showing how in the day they used to use it, actually use energy off the ether and light up cities. You see these old pictures with lights and you're like, those all can't be gas lights. No, they're not. They were using a more natural power source at that time. Yeah, Ghost Adventures went there a couple times. I really freaked a couple of them out. That place is oof, bad thing happened there, and it cursed that place, and it cursed it big time. And that well in the back, that's not a good thing. Personally, I always said you should fill it in and burn the place down. Yeah, there. No, it's a big place. A lot of people go there and check it out. When we went the one time, there was a lot of people there. There was a lot of people, like waiting to get in and check it out. I don't know with the way I see stuff. I don't know if I could do that place at night. We went. It was about mid evening. It wasn't even dark out, and I still saw stuff. I can only imagine how that place comes alive at night. Could only just be Dibbit box. Dibbit boxes are very interesting things. And you for a while they were making a big deal and everybody was talking about them. And people kind of, I like to say, play them off. They've, made a joke at them and stuff. But, there is some very, the one movie that was out about the Dibbit box, that was kind of made, done on a true story. And then the famous box that was on Amazon and everywhere, that poor guy, he buried it. He had to hide it. He buried that sucker. I don't even know if he's ever pulled it back out. I haven't heard any more about it. Um, but Dibbit boxes contain bad things. That's what they're for. That's why they're used, is to contain an evil that cannot be messed with beyond. So all you can do is contain it. Oh, hey, Andrew, you snuck in. I didn't even see you. Sorry about that, bud. About the pig man. There's every kind of animal man you can think out there. Goat man, pig man. There's a. Now I wish I had my notes. This is one of the reasons I kind of wanted to wait to do this because I do have pseudo notes. There's a story about these mutated kids that were experimented on that are supposed to be running around Do you believe you should not have one of the devices that you hear spirits in your home go straight? Here's my thing of here's my take on Ouija boards, spirit boxes. Okay. Now see, because of way I am, I had to stop ghost hunting. It's like Gemma wants to go and do a cryptic hunt. I have no problem with that. I'm a little leery of it because, like I said, and stuff like that. If I go looking, I tend to find it, and I'm not really happy about. Hey, New England, the Melonheads of Connecticut. That's it. Now I have research a little bit of research about that. That was an interesting take. That was really interesting. But my take on these things are, if you're gonna mess with them, you better know what you're doing because it's really easy to open a door you cannot shut. And if you shut it, you better make sure when you shut it, that thing that came through that door is back in that door. Because even talking to them they can play you just like anybody. I mean, I always crack up when everybody goes, "Oh, that's a child ghost. Oh, that's a little girl ghost." Are you sure about that? Did you ask it if it's what it is? That I just there's children go any ghost really, and these things like to use family members as a way to get in and play you, and they will. So I know I just always say, I can't tell you not to mess with the Ouija board, but if you do, you better know what you're doing. Make sure you close it out. Say your goodbyes because people make mistakes with those and go, the voice boxes, ghost boxes, they bring things in too. People mess with them and then they're followed around for months. They get an attachment and it's not usually what thought they were talking to. But yeah, I mean, I would love to try an actual ghost. I don't trust the cell phone ones. There's these devices these voice boxes you can get on your cell phone, the apps. I don't trust those. Um, I know there's a couple guys. There's a real famous guy that makes his own ghost boxes that he wants a fortune for them. But if you rig an AM radio right or any radio right, I would suggest if you're going to do that type of thing that you either use at all AM radio stations. It's better signal anyways for that kind of stuff. We liked, and this is why I stopped doing it, was I had a buddy that we like to mess around with the old TVs, especially the tube TVs. His dad was a TV repairman from the old days, and his grandfather was one too. So he had all these old TVs around, and we found that if you hook a VCR up to them, just like in white noise, you record the static and then play it back. You might be surprised what you see. That is a fact. We were doing it for a while, and this creepy lady kept showing up for me and actually saying my name. She was really starting to creep out. This is one of the rare times that I actually was having interaction with what I was seeing. He freaked out. He told me to cut it off. At first, I kind of got drawn into it. And then I started realizing this is not good. This is not good. I was having nightmares. And it's bad enough I don't sleep anyways. But when I did sleep, they were horrible, horrible nightmares. So I finally cut it and I just stopped doing it. In about a week, it finally stopped. When I stopped, trying to watch this thing, it was not good. So I would say if you do that stuff, yeah, be careful. Everybody says, "Oh, you protect yourself." Well, yeah, you can protect yourself, but that don't always work. You better. It's more of an internal thing. You better be prepared what may come. White noise, yeah. So white noise. That's actually both those movies. I like both those movies. That's like Mirrors. Have anybody seen the movie Mirrors? Especially the first one with Keith Sutherland. That movie's creepy, but it really says a lot about mirrors. I don't. I stopped doing it about a year ago because I finally came to terms. But I don't fear much, but I have a hard time sleeping in a bedroom with a mirror. so I would cover it. I don't do it anymore, but I finally faced it. But yeah, that was something. I had seen a couple things in the mirror that just didn't fly. A friend of mine had a big old house and one of these four wall mirrors. And every time I stood in that thing, it looked like there was two of me standing there, but they were off. And I only saw it because I would tell him, I see two of me because they are messed up. I always saw two of me and I never liked it. It always gave me the willies. And one seemed to be okay and the other one seemed to be real off. So it was like, nope, 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 nope. So after that, yeah, I don't stand in front of a mirror for too long. Yes, I like ghost stories, but I like my good monster movies too. But I do love a good ghost movie, something to really stir the senses. Has anybody seen the movie? What was that name? Oh man, I, shoot, Pulse. The movie Pulse about I believe the guy taps into with a computer and brings in another dimension. It's weird. It's a good movie. That movie kind of creeped me out because it's something about lifting the veil. The Nun, great movie. The Nun. I don't know. I'm picky. Um, the only movie that kind of shook me up when I was younger was I snuck in to see The Exorcist. I was pretty young, but it bothered me for about 3 days. But I'm kind of glad I saw it because what happened later in life with the apartment incident with that particular demon, I was scared, but I was not scared. And I kind of credit that movie because it made me realize and learn a lot. I really got curious about, possession and exorcism right after that movie. It was like, this is interesting. Scared the crap out of me, but it was interesting. But I think it also prepared me for that day because that whole incident, that whole lead up to those two guys moving upstairs and lead into that. Because the weird thing was, I lived in that building. There was four apartments, and I was the only one living in that building for almost 2 months, almost 3 months. And that place, it wasn't bad, and I kind of liked it, but there were some nights I'd hear noises, and it's like, whoa, this is not cool. And I'd get up and have to go around and look in apartments. The maintenance had a bad habit of not locking the doors while they're working on these apartments. So I was afraid that, homeless people would come up from the river because they like to walk through the apartment complexes and actually look for vacant doors, vacant apartments with unlocked doors. Hellraiser is a good movie. Yes, it is. Now, the ones after that, I give and take. Yes, actually, that was something my grandmother used to do was cover the mirrors. Yes, they would cover them for a few days. Um, my my mom's mother, which was really my grandmother, because my mom's mom got passed at a young age when my mom was young, and but she would my grandmother mother well, she was my grandmother, but she was really my aunt. She was really superstitious, very superstitious. you know, I think Dad left something on the bed. I think it was an umbrella or something on the bed. A bird got in the house, and I swear that woman freaked out for days. Now, see, I as the old like Friday the 13th, Halloween. You can start off with the beginning, and then they kind of after that. Though I did enjoy Jason Verdi versus Freddy. I kind of had fun with that movie. It had the right premise. It could have gotten so much better. I'm trying to read some of these. I'll probably cut it short here pretty soon. I didn't realize it was 1:30 already. I got 10 people watching. I'm happy. Just remember, guys, this wouldn't be happening if Gemma, I could start my own stream, but I love her too much to help her out, bring in some views. World War Z. Actually, the book is better than the movie. You know that he's the son of Mel Brooks. Um, but a good book, very good book, very informative book. In fact, the government kind of has that book on the shelf. Let's just put it that way, from what I understood. It was blue. Uh, um, anything else? I don't want to make it too long tonight because I do want to work this in and get a little better as we go. I like to start off slow and work my way in. All my family's superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. Yeah, a lot of my family is too. Some are down from the Appalachian Mountains. Dad's more Chillicothe. Um, I yeah, Mel Brooks. I loved Mel Brooks. Now some of his movies I can give or take, but you can't beat Blazing Saddles. Um, the Star Wars spoof, that was great. I loved that. But yeah, they were pretty. Not a, now. See, I didn't know my dad's parents were fairly old. I mean, he had a lot of brothers and sisters. Um, and Grandpa Davis didn't talk much. He liked his peanut butter. He would sit and eat peanut butter with a spoon out of the jar. I used to love it. And bologna sandwiches. He loved his fried bologna sandwiches. Jason Goes to Space. That I laughed through that whole movie. Yeah, Mel Brooks was awesome in the day. Hey, Mr. C, welcome. Now, see, it's nice because my mom was into movies. She liked the classics, all of them, from musicals and on. So I kind of know some of that stuff. And I'd sit and watch movies with her when I was young. And I was the quiet one. If I wasn't busy playing out in the backyard, because, it was hard to keep me to sit still. So I would sit and rock on the couch and watch movies with mom. And the first horror movie she showed me was Frankenstein. I fell in love with it. It was like monsters. Yeah, I like monsters. And then she showed me King Kong. And then I'd have to after I watched King Kong. We were down at my aunt and uncle's. They had cable when cable was starting to get big, and I watched Godzilla, King of the Monsters for the first time. Pretty young, and Godzilla became my man. I love my Godzilla. He's my papa. But I love the big monsters. But I do love good ghost stories. I like sci-fi. I love Young Frankenstein is hilarious. I saw that in the theater when it first came out, and that whole crowd was just chuckling. Fried bologna sandwiches, yes. And I like my bologna cut thick and make a Pac-Man. Do you guys know? You guys know what a Pac-Man is? You put it on a bun, you fry a big thick piece, you cut it, and when it fries up, it opens up like Pac-Man. Big old slap of cheese on it. Mothra is now Mathra. She does math. She teaches math in the local Japanese Tokyo school. Spaceballs is hilarious. That's one of my favorite movies. When I turned my son on to that, he just had a blast. Yeah. But I think we'll cut it here pretty soon. I'm just kind of running time, shooting my mouth, letting everybody gab. So it's kind of nice. Like I said, I think next Friday I'll have something a little bit more prepared. I'm gonna see. It's weird because I'm in a hotel and I don't have my notes and I don't have all my stuff, and it sucks because what stuff I do have, I've already given some of those stories to other people, so I don't want to use them again. Um, so I'm trying to dig around in my head. I've been writing down some of the old stuff as much as I can, trying to remember stories. Some of them I remember right off rip, like they were yesterday. Some of the scarier ones, I'm trying to save the good stuff as we go. And I think starting next week, maybe I'll end the night with one of the more juicy ones. I like to tell the one demon encounter that Gemma did. in more detail and kind of lead up to and give you guys a lead into what happened at that time, what was going on. Because the thing is that the apartment complex is literally right next to the long road that goes down into the cemetery where I used to play and over by where I lived. I'd literally jump the fence to go to mom and dad's. Well, actually, what they did was somebody cut a hole in it. And we would just cut through there. And I was home in like 5 minutes. That's how close just that cut through was. But yeah, that place, there's a whole row of apartments that follow that side of the cemetery down, and all those are creepy. You go down, you walk down that cemetery lane, what we call cemetery lane, which just comes off the main drag, and it's a long strip of fencing. You got apartments on one side and houses on the other, and you run, and it's like a long road with nice bushes and trees with a fence, and you drive down that, and then it kind of the road goes straight, and then there's a turn, and then a cemetery opens up. But if you stay on that road, it kind of weaves around. There used to be John the caretaker's house. It's now a shed, but there used to be a greenhouse that sat there. But you would walk just down along between by their apartments and that road, and this you got apartments on one side and the cemetery on the other. You would get the creepiest vibe. Now, see, my dad, all the years that you asked my brothers, they never would say, I never heard. We played kick can all there and ghost in graveyard. I've never had anything. And I'd tell him, yeah, dude, Mike down the street said he saw this thing. And then after John died, a lot of people were seeing him walking up and down the street. Van Helsing, I actually like that. That's a good popcorn flick. No, those kind of movies are popcorn flicks for me. Great stream, Ghost Dragon Rock on. Have a good night, Mike. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cut it short now and let it and call it a night. And I'm gonna try to make this a lot better next Friday. And I think I'll tell a little more juicy of my stories. I may have to jot some of the things down so I keep the details true. And if there's any of the stories you heard from Gemma that you would like me to tell over, I can. I think I gave her a couple. I can give you more stories on the black-eyed kids I see in the hospital. I just had an incident where I followed one around for 20 minutes last week, in fact. Yeah, it's fun. I just want to make it kind of casual, but I want to, a lot of people ask for stories, and I feel like I'm still a little unprepared for that, and I'm just kind of rattling off the short ones. Yes, BEKs, them in hospitals. I just have, and then maybe I can go in detailed about the white-eyed girl I saw. That was weird. There's a lot of details I left on hers too, and I gave her the short versions because actually the demon story that she did, it literally could have been a small book, a good short story. I mean, there was a lot of details I left out, especially the things that happened leading into that. It's a story within a story. Yeah, it is. Thanks. I appreciate that, Ralph. I just thought it'd be nice because, see, I'm wide awake. And when I get done here, I don't have the dog tonight. It's nice because Friday nights, Giles takes the dog up to his room. It'll be nice once we get back home and that poor dog don't have to be put on the leash. So it was nice. I figured this would be a good night to do it. Usually because I don't have him out. I usually in the hunt, and now that I'm here in the hotel, if I couldn't sleep, I'd just take him out for a walk, and we just go walk around. We stay close to the building because we're right along the highway. There's been some shady stuff going on. They had a couple overdoses in the hotel next door, so everybody's kind of like, they even heightened security. So I stay pretty close to the building. I don't worry too much, even though Puff's a small dog. Man, that guy. He's got that pit bull. He's part pit bull. His mom was a full-blooded pit bull. His dad was a cross between a Scottish, I think, a terrier. No, yeah, something like that, a terrier, and the other half was a Chihuahua, and that thing mated with the pit bull. And none of the pups were the same. Actually, a lot of people think he's part beagle, but no. If you look at him, his legs are real bull in the front. He's got the pit bull nose. But man, he grabs a hold of you. He's hanging on. Yeah, I'm a dog guy. Problem is, when I lived by myself, it was hard to take care of a dog because I have bad days, and I come and go a lot. A lot of doctor's appointments sometimes. So it was kind of hard to take care of. It's nice when you have other people to help. And so that's when I really got into something I enjoy. I like my little fire belly toads. I used to have some newts, but unfortunately, the fire took away two that I didn't talk too much about. They were old guys. I had them for a long time. I'm surprised they lived as long as they did. Hospital huntings are great. I don't have to go hospital hunting. I'm in there like I sat in waiting for a doctor appointment the other day. I was supposed to see a doctor, and I'm sitting there, and an older woman came in and sat down across from me, and this little tiny shadow came in and popped itself right in the chair right beside her, and just sat there. They just sat there. She just sat there, didn't say nothing. She checked in, of course, but that was kind of creepy. Um, it's hard to say, hey, what's sitting beside you? I sat there and watched that thing and just sat there with her, just kind of sat there. But they come out and say, oh, well, he has to cancel his appointments, everybody. He's got an emergency. I'm like, well, that was fun. I sat here for 10 minutes for nothing. Well, actually, it was about 20. But yeah, hospitals and me, it's like me and electricity. I used to be a maintenance guy, but every time they helped, I had to help them with electrical unit or something. I always got zapped. Always. It was always their fault, though. Oh, really? And now, see, I've heard stories about that when people have had traumatic experiences and they've seen a loved one watch that had moved on. Yeah, those are always fun. No, they do with the throat for me. I got to go back and they got to do that too. You know, Epsom salt's nice, but Gemma turned me on to the Himalayan salt. It kind of dries me out, but man, I am so relaxed. My muscles are nice. Really, if I get really bad, I've been soaking in a tub of that, and it helps my muscle spasms. Because what happens is I get tremors a lot during the day, and it's like my muscles will either cramp or have muscle spasms that are very painful, and the cramps are horrible. It's like it backlashes the tremors. Oh man, that and I take one of those baths and soak for a while. It's helped a lot. It has. Epsom salt never it helps, but that stuff just made me nice and relaxed. Now I wish I could find something to help me sleep. And one day I'll sleep. Yeah, great. Yes, yes. And hello there, Philip. Welcome. Try to read chat before we leave. Yeah, it does. It does help. Epsom salt does help. Diabetics have to watch using Epsom salt, though. You know that, right? It's not really, it can mess with them a little bit. And hello to you. Welcome. I'm glad you could come. Um, yeah. So but the Himalayan salt, man, it was nice, and it seems to. It not only kind of dried me out, but after a couple of days, my skin was all nice and smooth. After having rough hands for all the years of restaurant and screen printing, all those damn chemicals, pardon my mouth. What do you, what, oh, vinegar? Yeah, I've heard that too about vinegar. There's a lot of things out there that'll do good for you. People just don't know. I think there's a couple, there's all kinds of books. Cobra. Cobras used to be my favorite snakes. They just look cool. They look wicked. But then I started checking out vipers. Now, see, like I said, I have a friend that he had a Komodo dragon, and he ran now he owns like a reptile and deals with poison, exotic, all kinds of exotic poison animals, and uses the toxins for the venom for antitoxins and stuff. He sells it. He was bit a couple times. I'm talking about somebody. He said he's prayed. He was like, "Oh my god, this snake's like." Yes, pink Himalayan bath salts. That's what she sent me. She sent me a big jar of it, in fact. Oh, I don't have it out here. It was a huge jar. And I love that stuff. I do. I actually like it better than Epsom salt. It helped a lot. Now, see, I like lavender, but if it grows outside the house, all I do is sneeze. Oh, bit by a baby rattlesnake. Yeah, I was bit by a copperhead once. That sucked. But thank God, these guys had a snake kit on them. I was little. I wasn't paying attention. I was rolling logs looking for salamanders. I should have known better. Yeah, reptiles. I like amphibians, turtles and reptiles. I'm trying to talk my son. I think he's got Puff. Actually, the dog belongs to him. But he's been eyeing bearded dragons lately. And I had a friend that had a couple of bearded dragons. Those guys were awesome. They were just so cool. They were like his little pets, man. They were his buddies, man. Now, see, I had a snake once. I had a boa. He got too big. I had to give it to the zoo. They were actually nice enough to take it. She got huge. She got real big. Scared the neighbors. Give me this thing. This thing's going to get out one of these days. I said, okay. Nobody would take it, so I just, for the fun of it, hey, Columbus Zoo, would you take the snake? Yeah, sure. Is it in good health? They took it, checked her out. Yeah, we'll take her. Man, she was huge. They made her big fast. Not a big worm. You don't want to be bit by a big worm. Okay, I think it's getting late enough. It's 1:45. If you want me to take it to 2, say aye. And I'll take it to 2 and shut it down at 2. I had a friend that had an albino python. Never held it, never seen it. He lives out in California. He sends pictures every so often. That thing's cool. Yeah, garlic, all that stuff's good stuff. But I like actually out of the amphibians, I love my fire-bellied toads. But I have a thing for salamander and newts. These small little amphibians. They say a lot about your environment and everything. They're so sensitive. Same thing with reptiles and especially toads and not reptiles but amphibians. 4% lanacane. Now, yeah, pain does for some people. Now, see, I always drove me nuts when people say, "Oh, you don't know my pain," and I say, "I probably don't." Everybody's pain is different. Everybody reacts to pain differently. I always crack up when they say, well, "What's your pain on a scale of 1 to 10?" I'm like, what may be a 10 to you might be a 6 to me. So I have a pretty good pain tolerance. But then again, all the years of it, I just learned to accept it. They always laugh at me because after I messed up the second hip and had to have it replaced, they cracked up because I was literally like 3 days after hip surgery. I was like, "Can I go now?" They go, "Well, we haven't even got you up moving yet." And I go, "I'm ready to go." So they made me stay an extra day and got me up moving around. They're like, "Dang, dude. Don't you hurt?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "You want any painkillers?" And I said, "Well, I'll tell you what. You give me Give me 4, and I'll take one a day for the next 4 days, and I don't want any more. And I only took them when I need them, and that was at night so I could get comfortable. But I was pretty much hopping and skipping within a week. They were shocked. They were like, holy crap. When I had the first tip done, they put me in a nursing home, and I'm like, I ain't staying here. That place, that's another place, nursing homes. I have a hard time in nursing homes. Things I see waiting in those places, oof, it makes me sad, actually, because I know what they're waiting for. And you wonder if those people they're waiting for had a good life and did what they needed to do. Yeah, you have babies at home, you can take the pain. Like I said, everybody reacts different to pain. Pain is a funny thing. But pain and fear are funny things. If you learn how to work them and play them, they can work on your behalf. That's the way I look at it, at least. And I try when I'm in pain or really bad, hurting bad, I just get active and just try to take it off my mind. But then again, I'm nonstop half the time, anyways. I mean, me sitting here, you guys seeing me during these streams, are probably one of the few times you'll see me sit as long as I do. But believe me, I'm moving around. My legs are going 1,000 miles a minute. I guess everybody's enjoying this. We're all just shooting the crap in the chat. And I think next week I'll jot down some of my better stories and have a better lineup of things. Now that I'm getting used to this, and I'm not doing bad. I've been bouncing between 6 and 11 and 15, but this late at night. And I'm sure I'll get a couple rewatches or somebody watch the replays. I hope it's entertaining for them. Woo! Who's the crazy nut on the screen? But yeah, I think now that I'm a little more comfortable with this, I'm going to start setting up a little more pace on the stories. Now I want to make a list of what stories I want to tell first and work into them. And then maybe make like the last half hour talking about I like giants and forbidden history. And I want to do on Tuesday nights, maybe talk more about that stuff. That's about right. You guess this. Who's the crazy guy? But yeah, I'm pausing here. You're doing great. Well, I'm just what it is I'm rambling and you guys are shooting the crap and chatting. That's fine with me. Yeah, like I said, I'm up. I'll probably be up for. I'll try to probably lay down in about another hour here or so and try. And I usually try about at one point, and I get maybe an hour of sleep or so. I haven't talked too much to Gemma today, so it'll probably be about an hour. I seem to sleep more when I talk to her, sleep a little longer. We kind of comfort each other. She's a good woman. And by the way, I'm gonna push it again. Hey, the super chats and stuff helps the stream. So not just my show, but all the other streams. Does help. So if you can help out, keep us streaming, keep her going. Books are awesome. I do love her boxes. She has sent me some awesome boxes. Always nice. Tell us an anecdote about your spirit walk. I'm going to tell. Now I may save that for later. I did when I was right before I got married. I was 20. I took a month and took what I called the secret journey, the Police song, Police Secret Journey, where I took my secret journey. I went and lived in my car for a while and kind of found myself and kind of dealt with some fears, and it was a good thing. It helped me a lot. Kind of saw what the other half lived and a little bit of everything and just kind of soaked it in. It was a good life experience for me. I learned a lot. Taught a lot about myself. Told a lot about myself. Learned a lot about myself. But yes, I'm thankful every day too. Every day is a blessing. I take one day at a time. So, it's always good to wake up and say, hey, it's a new day, new start. Yeah, I did pretty much run off and find myself in a little way. But I was doing that all along. And I think we all do as we go through life. like I said, every time I have passed and come back, it was them putting me back on a path. And I was told when I was 12 and my hair turned white that I had a path that I needed to follow, that they had a path for me. And I've noticed through those years that those have put me consistently back on that path. But I'm one of those people, I like to wander off the path. I like to get lost. I like to discover new things and to feel a little lost because it's fun finding your way back if you do it right. Yeah, you know, things are going to get weird in this world, and it's going to get a lot weirder and a lot harder. So you people need to stay steady and stay strong, stay true, and stay true to yourself and to your loved ones. I guess I'll start ending the note on that. That'd be a good way to end out. Life is going to get really interesting. So, we all need each other in one way or form. So be respectful. You know what I do for my mental health? There's a wall over there. I do this. Against, no, just kidding. I bang my head at least once a day against the wall. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, it's going to get interesting. And it's already getting interesting now. And without getting into depth of, prophecy and everything, it hasn't been fulfilled because there are being fulfilled right now. And then the ones that haven't been fulfilled, they're definitely being set up to be fulfilled. That's another thing. Me and Edna the other night was talking about religious texts. Yeah, I've dealt deep in a lot of them for a while there, and where I was spending a lot of time in the library and in Christian librarians, Christian libraries, um, every kind of text you can think of, from the Quran all the way up to Buddha teachings. Um, I've studied a little bit of everything. I'm not a philosopher, and I'm not a philosophical guy. I've taken everything I've learned and applied it in one form or another along the way. Oh yes, um, I really love and the older biblical texts. Um, and some of the other stuff from some of there's some stuff out there, not just biblical, from the Bible, but from other religions that pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, see, now when you guys talk about our gifts, no, I let Gemma talk about that stuff because she's good at that. She's got a good voice for that, as one I might say. But um, some people don't like and don't consider them gifts. They don't want nothing to do with them. And there's a lot of people out there like that. And some of the things I've seen, yeah, I kind of agree with it, but I've learned, and everybody will learn whatever their special little thing is. It's going to come out. Everybody's going to, the people that are waking up will start seeing changes. The cosmic cycle. Not like when people start talking that stuff. Um, I know the NWO and the Illuminati. Now, if you want to go into conspiracy there, there's plenty of channels for those. That stuff. Those are some rabbit holes that will lead you into places you don't want to go, and they do that on purpose. Yeah, I figured you did, Anna. You know, I never did that, especially after. Well, see, before when I was young, when I started seeing things, I don't remember when really started seeing things. I have a friend feeling I've seen things for a long time, but when I really noticed them was when I started school, fifth grade. Um, when I started interacting. Now, see, it was weird because I'm around kids. We were a big church family when I was growing up, so I was always around that group of kids too. And it was really weird when I was around church people. I didn't see too much. Now sometimes I would, but when I started going to public school, that was a whole new ball game. That was a whole new ball game. That was a wake up. I was hard, and when that age, it's like everybody says when you're that age, everybody just, oh yeah, just yeah, about the same age, a little younger. Um, when I was 4, mom would say that I would sit on the floor and play and talk to somebody, but I don't remember that too much. Most of the stuff was I started remembering when I was 5 or 6 was things following other people. That's when I really noticed all that stuff. I had no fear either. I had a little bit of fear before. Um, as I got older, like 8, 9, 10 years old, I started seeing the creepy stuff. The hat man really creeped me out and really messed with my head. But when I turned 12 and that incident happened, that was a big change. It was like I don't. If I get scared, I use it to my benefit, as one might say. But other than the one major demon encounter, I have seen other demons, and I've been in situations, and I'll tell those stories later down the road too. Not as scary as the one at the apartment complex. That I wouldn't have risked on anybody, and I'm glad I have talked to the young man since then. He's doing good. He's got a family. He's got a kid. He's stayed straight. He's like Gemma. He's a recovering addict, doing good. I'm very proud of him. Yeah, it is. See, I don't have Smoochie in here. I like to have that counter talk. It's good to have that two-way conversation. But even with good Christians, everybody believes a little bit of difference here and there. Everybody has a different take, and that's good. As long as it leads to the same place, is what I always say. Wow, we went over 2. I made it to 2. Actually, I could sit here all night, but I won't because I don't want to run up. What's moving those heavenly bodies? That's a good question. With your third eye. Now that's an interesting topic about opening the third eye. There's so many ways that you can do it. Actually, yeah, he really wasn't. He was actually Jewish, but he paved the way for Christianity, as I'd like to think. Yep, there are many paths to the top of the mountain. There's only one view when you get to the top, though. That's right. Oh, and we would have to talk. That's a one-on-one conversation. You would be an interesting person to sit down and talk about that with. Now, the thing about YouTube, because there is a lot of Christian, Gemma worries, but there is a lot of Christian channels out there. There's a guy I like to watch called, what is his name? Hold on one sec because I am going to shut it off here soon, but I want to get his name. I may do that too, maybe kind of highlight some of my favorite channels that I like to watch that are pretty good about getting information. Hold on 1 second. Here, let me promote this guy's channel. Okay, wait. Let's see if I can do this. Let's do it this way. Block this out and whoops, I did it wrong again. Go here. Let's do this. And I think I'll also promote a channel once in a while. Okay, open new window. Go here. And go here. And let's see what we can do here. Let's see if I can at least show his heading because I don't want to get in trouble. I mean, I'm doing this for promotional sake for these people. So, but he's a good Christian guy. So, but this guy here. Now let's see if I can do this. Dun, dun, dun. Go there. Go here. I'm still trying to do the screen share. Do Windows. We'll go right here and we'll share. Here we go. Let's see if it showed. Okay. It's not there. Why is it not showing? What did it do? Oh, what did it do? Why did it do that? Can you guys see that? I can't see it. There we go. Okay. This gentleman right here, he's really good. I like him. A good Christian guy. And I watch not just Christian, I watch all them all. But he really made a statement to me a while back ago. Made a comment in one of his videos that really made a lot of sense. And I like the way he said it is, people don't understand that all religions in this world is a very supernatural place. It is a very supernatural place, and it's all supernatural around us all the time. So he always said he gets a giggle when somebody says, that's supernatural. You're living supernatural every day. You don't even know it. I just like the way he said it. He said it better than I did, but he has a good channel. If you're interested, he really delves into the prophecies and the Nephilim and stuff. He's talking about the current events that are going on. He's a good channel. Check it out once in a while. You might like it, you may not. But his information is legit. I will say that. I hope he sees that because I stumbled around on him a while ago, and he sticks to facts and he sticks to stuff. So I will give him credit. And then maybe next week I'll promote one of the conspiracy theory channels I like. Some of the channels I watch that, not big channels, but they give good information, a good way of getting sourcing done. Because there are good channels out there, not just Christian channels, but other channels out there that really, want to give you evidence and give you thinking stuff to think about. But I think we're going to shut it down here. Yes, a lot of the Bible does come from the tablets and the scrolls. Yes, it does. And there is so much they've left out of that Bible. And it's been altered so many times over the year. But let's call it an evening. A little after 2. That sounds like fun. I hope everybody had a good time these 2 hours. I hope I didn't ramble too crazily. And now that I'm a lot more comfortable, and I think next Friday we'll do something a little more. I'll be a little more presentable and get into some good stuff. We'll kind of touch bases on everything because I seem we've kind of floated around and chat on all kinds of topics, and I like that. I don't mind talking about the biblical stuff or the Bible, religion, or spiritualism. I'm not gonna lie when it comes to start talking about the crystals and some of that stuff. I like to leave for Gemma because she knows it. She's good at talking about it. A lot better than I am. It's not that I don't understand it. I just think she's better at putting it to words, as one might say. I hope everybody had a wonderful night, enjoyed the night in the cave, as one might say. I hope you all have a wonderful end to your evening. Please be safe out there and have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Enjoy your Saturday and Sunday. And I won't see you Monday because we're not streaming Monday, but I will see you folks Wednesday. And I'll probably sit in the background. I don't know if Gemma said that she may start doing every other Thursday, so we'll have to wait and see. So that'll be nice with her and Miss Pixie. I enjoyed being with her. I'm just on that show. I try to let her take it all. That's why I kind of stayed in the background until she called me out. I was just pretty much just making sure she didn't have any tech troubles, kind of popping in and out of chat. Yeah, but I want her to enjoy that show and because she knows that stuff too, and it gives her a chance to let her information flow. So when you guys come in on Thursday nights, don't be afraid to ask questions. I'll make sure she sees them. And because I don't talk the best, I don't like reading so out loud. So that's why I try to do everything off the top of my head, or I kind of rehearse them before I start. I really didn't do that tonight because I just kind of like I did last Thursday, kind of wanted to go with the flow, see who showed up, who didn't show up. But I really do hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. And remember all the streams, every other Monday and Wednesday nights and Thursday. And then I'll be on next Friday, of course. And hopefully I'll be a little more prepared. Actually, I'm going to be a lot more prepared. Like I said, I was just curious to see how many people would show up. And we've kind of bounced in and out pretty good tonight. I can deal with ending with 6 people now. So please all have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next weekend. And I mean next Wednesday, and I'm sure I'll see some of you in and out of chat rooms throughout our wonderful world of the paranormal. I love UFO, Michigan UFO and sightings, Bigfoot Rob. You know, I even still check out Lynn, try to catch Lynn when I can, only because I like to make fun of Dave. I've seen him play when he was just a pup. That's funny. Um, so, I try to make my rounds, sneak in and out in ghost channels, and I do ghost law channel, but it's been crazy lately, so I haven't been able to. So, check out those other streams and remember ours. And check out the description below. Gemma does some good stuff with the sprays and the sprays and the boxes. So, look her up. Her email's there. And I want to say goodnight. And thank you for visiting the cave and hanging with me and chilling with some vibes, some midnight vibes. And, if we go longer and longer, that's fine. I'm in no rush to get off, but I think now's a good time. We're down to about 6 people. People coming and going now, moving on, getting ready for bed. Hopefully, we'll bring in some of those overseasers once they know that I can get myself going. I'd love to see them. I was kind of hoping Ding Dong would pop in. So everybody have a wonderful night. I'm rambling like Gemma now. I've been hanging around with her too long. Love you all. You guys be respectful to each other and treat each other nice. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend wherever you are. And please be safe out there. And good night.